Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening to the Town of Stellarton Council meeting, June 12th, 2023, at 5:30 p.m. start time here in the council chambers. The agenda's in front of us. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, Your Worship. I have a couple of things to add. After the presentation of the budget, I would like to add traffic authority report. And then under correspondence, letter B, concerned citizens, read dangerous and unsightly. And letter C, from the Pictou County Affordable and Supportive Housing Association regarding a letter of support.
Thank you. Okay, so
Your Worship, I'd like to add bylaws as well.
okay, maybe make that number 11. Bylaws. So what we have here is number 5 be the traffic authority report. Number 6 be reports from staff. Number 7 be correspondence. Number 8 committee of the whole report. Number 9 is a pool permit. Number 10 is tourism levy. 11 is vendor bylaw. 12 is bylaws in general. 13 is open forum. 14 next council, and 15 adjourn. With that, could I have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
I second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Nice, seconded by Councillor Wand. All those here signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Thank you. The minutes are next for May 8th, 2023. They're attached. They're distributed electronically as well. Is there any errors or omissions?
I move to accept them as written.
I'll second that.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Nice, seconded by Councillor Campbell. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Nancy, thank you. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to our presentation for the operations and capital budget and tax rates for 2023-24.
So presenting the budgets is a follow-up to our meeting last week on June the 6th. This is just carrying over presentations, a little different style, but it's basically the same numbers as we talked about last week. For the general operating fund, we are proposing a 6-cent residential and resource tax increase from $1.82 to $1.88. And on commercial, a 15-cent increase from $4.15 to $4.30. Our total residential and resource assessment is $214,615,900. Our commercial total assessment, $86,191,800. At each of their respective tax rates of $1.88 and $4.30. Our total tax revenue is $7,741,026. That tax revenue is carried down into the details below. Budget for 2022-23 is your column to the left. Actuals for 22-23 that are unaudited, so these are not finalized for 22-23 in the middle. And to the right, the budget proposed for 23-24. Total assessable property taxes, as we just said, is $7.7 million. Revenue from special tax agreements, which include Alliant and Heritage Gas, is about $25,765, a similar amount to the prior year. Deed transfer tax, which again, as you know, is on the sale of homes in the town. All of this money is collected and remitted to the Deed Transfer Tax Trust for the Wellness Center and the hospital. We're budgeting about $100,000. It's $100,000 in and $100,000 out. There is no net impact on the bottom line of the budget. Grants in lieu of taxes of about $209,262 as compared to $192 of last year. Those would be reflecting the tax rate increase that we're proposing. It's for the Post Office, the RCMP, Department of Mines, Nova Scotia Power, Fire Protection at NSCC. Other revenue for own sources, we are projecting a decrease from the current $283 for 22-23 to $191,993. This is interest, dispatch services, record checks, and other miscellaneous. 22-23 had $50,000 worth of FCM funding for the asset management project. We also had higher tax interest with improved collections. We are proposing that that interest will decrease in the 23-24 year. Unconditional transfers include the financial capacity grant and the HST offset, $535,000. Conditional transfers, this includes street crime, student funding, and MPAL. The previous year at 319, that includes about $185,000 for Fiona funding. This is not yet confirmed. We're projecting that we will get funding to that amount, but once it's confirmed, then we'll know whether it's fully funded by federal provincial sources or whether we'll be taking some of it out of operating reserve. Internal transfers, $230,000, that's money from the water utility to cover administrative costs. In the previous year, we also transferred money from operating reserve. We budgeted to transfer $350 from operating reserve with the choice last year to not raise taxes. At this point, we're at about $364,000 to balance. That is prior to Fiona costs being confirmed as funding. Overall, we're showing an increase in revenue of about 2.21% year over year. And we have a comparable increase in costs of 2.21% for a balanced budget. Legislative services for expenditures, $114,335. It looks like it's a high amount compared to the previous year, but we always budget $1,000 per person for travel for council, and often that is not spent. General government services at $1,026,000. Included in that $1,026,000, there is some work needed on the town hall front steps, some repointing, and some chimney repairs. Protective services for police, $2.2 million, $39,428. That's our contracted increase plus rank changes plus the increases for dispatch. Protective services for fire, consistent year over year at $549,181. Transportation services looks consistent year over year, but transportation services for the 22-23 year does include the Fiona costs for $185,000. But overall, the 2078 does include full staff costs. Prior year, we had some staff costs in capital. Current year, we're budgeting all in operating. The budgeted increase as per the contract, some additional costs for repairs and maintenance for vehicles as the vehicles are aging, and as well salt costs. As you know, we always budget at a high amount, and then cross our fingers that we have a better winter than expected. Environmental services, we are showing a decrease year over year. We are expecting a decrease in the ERIC costs based on the cost allocation method that will be used for the current year. That is offset by a $10,000 increase for the Pictou County Partnership. Recreation services at $197,688. That increase year over year includes $10,000 for the equipment loan program, $30,000 for baseball fields, dirt, fertilizer, porta potties, lime, powdered line marking, and $12,000 for the soccer fields, being nets, field paint, and $10,000 for a gazebo. Pictou County Wellness Center at $346,000. That is showing an increase year over year. In the previous year, detransfer tax trust funds were used to decrease the amount required to be funded from the town. That's not expected to be repeated. Cultural services, which is the community center, the library, and Dean's at $87,762. Again, consistent year over year. Financing, which is the principal and interest payments at $488,250. This year we've added the salt shed principal and interest for curbs and paving and the fire truck. Outside service providers for the town, which include PVSC, CHAD, CEF, and Homecoming, consistent year over year with a small decrease regarding Homecoming. Outside service providers for the town is just over $1 million at $1,007,099. That is the school board, corrections, and the seniors housing deficit. And the transfer, the detransfer, if you remember, $100,000 in revenue, $100,000 in expense, which is remitted to the detransfer tax trust for the wellness center and the hospital. Overall expenditures of $9,163,730, which is a 2.21% increase over the prior year, and a balanced budget.
Is there any questions for Ben on that part of the presentation? I just wanted to make a few points for the public. The town is required by provincial law to balance the budget. We cannot run a deficit. The last 2 years, we tried to avoid tax increases with the first year, the province doubled their equalization payment. That helped us. The second year, we draw from reserves. We can't draw from reserves anymore without weakening our financial position. And the province did contribute more money this year, but it's restricted for what we're going to use it for an elevator for Town Hall to make it more accessible. We sent this budget back to staff several times to realize more efficiencies. There was a bigger increase originally to start with, but we found some more efficiencies and we reduced the amount of the increase. We'll still have, with the increase, we still have the lowest consolidated residential tax rate in Pictou County of any of the towns. And we still have a very competitive commercial tax rate as well. So I just want to make those points. And if there's no questions, I think we can move on to water.
The only question is, when was the last time it was raised?
1997 was the last time taxes were raised in Stellarton. Thank you.
Your worship, I'd like to make a motion to accept the budget, and so we can pay our bills and get things moving.
Do you want to do it piece by piece?
Yeah, no, let's do the pieces, and then you can do your resolution and your approvals.
Okay.
You're okay with that?
Okay, so we'll wait for the motion, Deputy Mayor, until we're done the whole package?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the Town of Stellarton Water Utility. Again, the same structure as for the general operating fund, which is to the left is the budget for 22-23. The unaudited 22-23 actuals, again, not finalized, and the budget for 23-24. As you know, we've had the water rate hearing, and we are waiting approval of the new rates. This budget presented is using 50% at the old rates and 50% at the new rates, assuming that they will be in effect for October the 1st. So metered revenue at $240,000, the increase from the previous year is again related to the new rates. Flat rate revenue at $947,000, again, that increase is based on the new rates, 50% at the new rates. Fire protection at $740,000. This is a calculation based on prior year actuals and at a rate dictated by the UARB at $740,000 is a small increase over the prior year. Other, this is fundamentally interest. There's a few other things in there, but at $28,000. But our bank balance is decreasing, so our interest is going to be decreasing. Overall revenue at $1,957,358, which is about a 3.8% increase over the prior year. For operating expenditures, power and pumping at $211,000, a 4.25% increase over the prior year. Most of that, of course, is electricity. Purification at $697,000. We're showing an 11% increase over the prior year at $624,000. Most of that is for additional powdered activated carbon for the taste control. It was done last year, but the plan is to do it for a longer period of time this year. There's also increases for testing and training to maintain certifications. Transmission and distributions at $204,000 versus $178,000 last year. This is fixing water leaks that are not replacing water lines. So we always allow a little bit of room for the unexpected. Admin in general at $256,000 versus $246,000. That reflects the 4.5% increase. It's overall about 4% of an increase. Most of that is money funding the general operating. It's revenue in the general operating fund and is an expense in the water utility. So the water utility does not have an administration department nor a building to work in. Depreciation at $420,000 is a calculation relative to asset base, and that's the method for funding asset or capital projects. So that is actual money that is taken out of the operating bank account and put in the depreciation bank account, which can then be used for capital improvements. Taxes at $138,000 is reflecting the tax rate increase proposed in the general operating fund. Overall expenditures at $1,928,379. Interest and principal on debt is $438,000. This is slowly decreasing as the interest on the debt is decreasing. We have about 8 years left to pay off the debt for the reservoirs in the water treatment plant. With a 1.9 of revenue and 1.9 million of expenses, there's not much left to pay for principal and interest. So we will be taking $409,700 out of surplus to balance the current year budget. That 409 is reflective of the reasons for having the water rate study and the water rate hearings to increase rates. We do have about $1 million surplus at the end of March of 2023, so we do have room for this deficiency of 409,000. But again, it's not something that's sustainable for very long. And that's it for the Water Utility Operating Fund.
Okay, thank you for that clear explanation of the drawing down of the accumulated surplus. We can't continue, if we do it again for a couple more years, we're going to be broke, basically. So
And we would be broke.
that's the water rate study. And council's decided to, the rates will raise $5 per month in year 1 and $5 a month in year 2 is what we're asking the Nova Scotia Utility Review Board to approve. That will eliminate a steep increase in 2 years, a very steep increase for residents. We want to make sure that it's graduated, the increase. It'll bring us, those increases will bring us about the provincial average for a water bill, and then we'll move to meters, and it'll be up to the consumer to reduce their usage, to reduce their bill. And we're the last town in Nova Scotia to move to water meters. Just want to let people know that as well. So, okay, thank you. And if there's no further questions, we move on to capital, unless there's questions regarding water. Okay, move on to
Okay.
capital.
The capital budget, for equipment, we have the John Deere zero-turn mower. This is a commercial rated mower, and as was presented at the last meeting, it might not be quite 25,000. So it will be what the dollar amount will be, but it is for recreation to be used on the fields. Public Works trucks, we have 2 trucks required. The ones we have will not pass inspection without major body work. We have 100,000 for 2 trucks budgeted. The sidewalk plow is a replacement at 180,000. And a generator for the town barn at 60,000. For infrastructure, we have the sewer line on St. Vincent Street for 100,000, the culvert head wall on South Ford Street for 75, and a reforestation plan, that's to create a plan, for 25,000. For buildings, we have the system for the town clock, which is subject to funding. This is an estimated cost at $75,000. We won't know what the actual will be till we can find someone that can do the work. For vehicles, we have the fire truck at $670,000. We have 2 IT servers for police and for general operations at $25,000 and $30,000. And the Albion Ball Field LED lights and fixtures at $128,700. The total of that is $1,493,700, and that is funded. The Canada Community Building Fund, previously we referred to it as the gas tax, for the sewer line, the culvert head wall, and for the Albion Ballfield lights. We have debt financing for the fire truck and for the sidewalk plow replacement. Outside funding of $25,000 for the town hall clock, and the balance from general capital reserve at $315,000. To note, the ICIP projects for the Claremont Kirk projects are on hold at the moment until we determine the approval for the amendments that were requested. And there is no specific water budget, but the water is continuing with the meter replacement. So that's a project you approved in 22-23, which is carrying into 23-24. And it will also have a piece of the Claremont/Kirk amended project.
Okay, thank you. So just building what Brenda was saying about the streets, there's usually streets included in being done each year, but we applied last year for funding for Kirk Avenue and Claremont Avenue, and we were approved. We went ahead and approved our own budget or we were going to approve the budget this year for that. Inflation hit us, and then the funding we received wasn't enough for both projects. We moved to just Claremont. Then we had to go back and ask the province and the federal government, can we use the money just for Claremont? We're in that process now. Until we get that answer, we're hoping it's going to be a yes. We won't be able to do the RFP, so streets might not happen this year, I guess, what I'm saying. But the budget is there in front of us. Are there any questions for Brenda on the capital budget?
No, Your Worship, but I just want to again highlight the quality of the water improvement that was done. We're talking about years and years and years of having this issue. And we finally have been able to figure out. Thank you, Blaine, and thank you for the water treatment staff. But that was a great victory for us. Thank you.
Big improvement. Any questions?
No questions. I make the motion again, I've already made it. Okay. Yeah,
Do we
I've
have a
already made the
seconder?
motion.
I'll second that.
So moved by Deputy Mayor Knight, second by Councillor Pence. On the question, read the resolution. Therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the Town of Stellarton that the assessment for 23-24 is confirmed at $86,191,800 for commercial. Further, be it resolved the assessment for residential and resource confirmed at $214,615,900. Further, be it resolved the tax rates for 2023-2024 be approved at $1.88 per $100 of residential assessment and $4.30 per $100 of commercial assessment. Further, be it resolved the interest on overdue taxes be charged at a rate of prime plus 5%. Further, be it resolved the operating budget for 2023-2024 is approved at $9,169,730. Further, be it resolved the capital budget for 23-24 is approved at $1,493,700. So with that, I would ask all those in favor to signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much. That big piece of work is done.
Thank you, Brenda.
And thank you very much, Brenda. Budget time is always the hardest time of year for council, and this year was particularly hard for our council, but we came through with a solution we think that is the best one that is available to us. So we can move on to section, or item 5, Traffic Authority Report.
Would you like me to, excuse me, just read it, go through? It was? Yes, it was. Okay, on Tuesday, April 25th, 2023, the town engineer, Blaine Murray, and myself were contacted by John Bork, who is the general manager of Cape Breton and Central Nova Scotia Railway. Mr. Bork informed us that the stop line for Manhattan Avenue as it approaches the Ford Street crossing is in non-compliance with Transport Canada, as the vehicles coming to a stop are on railway tracks. After we examine the location and considering the possible options, I'd like to put forward a proposal to make Manhattan Avenue a one-way street. The street will be one-way from Ford to Stellar Street. We explored the option of making this a dead-end street, but after consideration, it would make it extremely challenging for snow removal as well as emergency vehicles to access the street from Ford if necessary. Signs will need to be erected and the community made aware through social media and the town newsletter, etc. And also Section 315(1)A of the Municipal Government Act allows this council to approve this without a public hearing. So I propose that making Manhattan Avenue one-way street is the best solution to this issue.
Your Worship, when we got the notice, I got Susan to print off what Chief just read out, and I took it and I went down and spoke with the people on the street. They had no issues with us making a one-way street. They were quite happy with it being a one-way street. So, but there's a second part to it, which I will discuss after this, and some recommendations that they made. But first, I'd like to make a motion to make that a one-way street.
Based on the recommendation from the chief, I would second that.
Okay, thank you. So the motion's on the floor. The deputy mayor has mentioned he's consulted the residents on there. We've also, do we send a letter out as well, or?
We will notify via newsletter and social media.
Okay. So the motion on the floor, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Thank you. Motion carried.
The other thing, Your Worship, is when I spoke to the residents down there, there's only 4 in that area, their concern is, and it is now, and they feel it's going to get worse. The traffic coming in from, we'll say Hopewell, in that direction towards in Ford Street. So now, when they get up to the light at the intersection, it's red. If they're making a left turn, they have to wait. And sometimes they have to wait and they miss the turn. So to avoid that, what they're doing is they're taking a left turn up the particular street there, Manhattan, and some of them are flying up there and what have you. So one of the residents made a suggestion, one of 2 things. Either we put a left turning light in there, and I spoke to the chief earlier, and that's something we can't do because there's not enough light. There's only 2 lanes, a right lane, so we can't put a left turning light in. I suppose we could, but the other one is to put a 4-way stop in. And I spoke to him about, well, maybe we could. The other thing was having the lights flash red as a stop. But before we go forward with that, what I'd like to do is make a motion that the chief do a study on it first and come back with recommendations before we jump into doing anything that might upset the apple cart.
Good idea, Brent.
Yeah.
That would be something the engineer should be involved in too, I think.
Well, whoever has to be involved, and I'm not just chief, whoever needs to be involved in, but just to do a study to see, you know, if it would work or wouldn't work, or what other problems they're going to run into.
Mark, do they have any idea what the flow of traffic is on 4th Street for one day, you know?
No, that's something we'd have to look. And other considerations, you could make no left turn onto Manhattan Avenue. But then you also have Pennsylvania Avenue, the next one. So you can make a no left turn onto Pennsylvania, and then you're almost bumped up right to the intersection of Acadia. So it's, I don't know that it's, I can't say that it's a huge issue, to be honest with you. I don't know the complete flow. That's what we would have to look. Basically count cars and count the cars turning on Manhattan and or Pennsylvania and or.
Yeah, are you going to go second that motion, Councillor Pence? Thank you.
On the question, thank you for doing the study. But I'm a little bit hesitant to put another stop sign on 4th Street. And hopefully the data will support my view. I'm not really sure if it will or not. But as a highway, putting another stop sign will make the railroad behind it even more congested and a bit more dangerous. That's my concern.
I think that's my motion was to do a study on it, not to put stop signs there. Was to do a study on.
Four-way stop was replace the lights, is that what the suggestion?
Yeah, well, the chief can, and whoever, the engineer could look into it, but the proposal was what we could do up front before we put stop signs there is to flash them red, okay? But that would be up to the chief to see if that would work. And then if it works, well, then we could, instead of having our lights knocked down all the time, we could put stop signs.
So
in
the
there.
idea is not to add a stop sign, it's to.
It's to look into it, yeah. I'm not proposing we do anything until
We'll look at
the
it.
chief looks at it and comes back with recommendations. That way you'll have the facts and the figures and the true numbers that actually use it or don't use it.
And I agree with that.
And I see where you're coming from, Simon. It's always a contentious point, but I'm sorry, Councillor Malone. It's
so formal.
it would be a study that we could look at to see if it would change. Thank you for asking.
So I guess direction from council is to, all those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried and answered, thank you. So I think we're ready to move on to reports from staff. 6A, Chief Mark Hoback. Our police commission meeting was canceled this month. We're going to meet again in July. The report's included. I just wanted to mention that under other activities, the police department did 35 hours of foot and bike patrol. They did 66 hours of traffic enforcement and 34 hours of community relations. Chief Hoback and Inspector Pond attended the town square for Gaelic flag raising. Constables Hall and McPherson attended completed Stellarton's walk day at the Wellness Center. Constables Hall and Vandergrift had the Sobeys Ford Street Daycare, gave the Ford Street Daycare a tour of the police station. Constable Morrell took a student from North Nova Education Center for a ride-along for the work program. Inspector Pond and Sergeant Venus attended the town square for the BON flag raising. Constable Morrell attended A.G. Bailey School for cops and cuckoo with NGPS. Chief Hoback and Constable Morrell attended Walter Duggan School and showed the class of police vehicle and talked about policing. Constable Williams and Sampson attended G.R. Saunders Spring Fling. They donated a gift bag. Constable Williams attended the bike road at the Pictou County Wellness Center. In 18 Canby, the drug house was shut down. This report is an example of what community policing is. And this is what community policing is, interacting with the community, not just enforcing laws. So we're really proud of our police department. I just want to bring that to everyone's attention.
The other thing, Your Worship, I want to bring to attention is, when you talk about community policing, that's why I'm strong on it and believe in it. But we had an instance here where they were putting a water meter in, and there was an elderly lady who was concerned, somebody coming into her house, and she was warning that you shouldn't let people in your house, you don't know who they are. And of course, today, we had an instance up on Call Avenue where a lady she got a phone call, and they were trying to con her out of some money, and they told her the police would show up. Of course, the neighbor contacted our police and stopped it, she has a valid reason, but we contacted through our CAO, Susan Higdon, and the chief, and they had the police go down and sit with her while the company went in and changed the water meter. So that's what community policing is all about. Like you said, it's more than just enforcing laws. Thank you.
Your Worship, I would like to add, thank you very much, Brian, if you can pass my thank you to the officer. Really appreciate it. That's what all community-based policing is all about. And I will also like to add one more thing, and, again, pass my thank you, Brian, please. I was talking to a counselor from a different town recently, and they asked me about the foot patrol and community policing that we do. And I said, it's odd that you ask, why don't you have foot patrol? And he's like, no, we don't. And I thought that, other communities would have foot patrol, so what we're doing is above and beyond as what some other councils are doing, and I really appreciate that. We discussed this multiple times in the past, the foot patrol on 4th Street and between the Maple and Poplar Street for the seniors is really appreciated, so thank you very much.
Yeah, if you go and look at any police reports, I read the report from Portapeck and a few other police reports, and a number of years ago, my grandfather was a police officer in the town I come from, and they used to walk the beat every day. But when they took the police off the beat and put them in the cars, they disassociated them with the public. So it's a good way and we encourage our police officers to, like at Halloween time, one of our officers goes around with a bag of candy and stops and gives the kids. So we encourage our officers to interact with the public.
Okay, so with that, can I have a motion to approve the report, please?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Knight, seconded by Councillor Wand. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, most carried unanimously, thank you. 6B is Fire Chief Michael Sullivan, the report's included.
I'll move the fire department report as written, Your Worship.
I'll second that, Your Worship. And the other thing I want to say is I want to thank the fire department and Councillor Campbell, who was involved in the fire department with the Ladies Auxiliary. Whenever there's a disaster, or there's a death, or there's a funeral, or there's a wedding, or whatever, the doors are open to the public, no matter if it's, we can always count on the fire department. And it goes on, a lot of people think they just drive around that big red truck, but they do a lot more than that. And I want to thank the fire department for the work that they do in the community. It's appreciated by the public.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Knight. With that, it was moved by Councillor Pence, seconded by Deputy Mayor Knight. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, most carried unanimously. Thank you very much, Chief. I'll move on to 6C, Paige Draper, Marketing and Communications, reports included. Just wanted to highlight a couple of things. The Public Works crew has been working to assist in the completion of the Heritage Room, the third floor of the library building. They've mounted a Sobeys display in the room and have set up a school room as well with the old class photos and school memorabilia. It's been a very busy month with flag raisings. We raised the Gaelic flag on May 1st, VON on May 19th, and the Lyme disease as well. The town hall was lit up green for the month of May to commemorate Lyme Disease Awareness Month. So in addition to the flag raising, we've had several requests to light up town hall. It happens quite a bit often. A few times a year we request to light town hall in a certain color to recognize a certain cause. So we now went ahead and we purchased some multiple color lights so we can, they're programmable, so we just put them in the front of the building, and then whenever we want to a certain color to highlight, we can do that. So thank you to staff for that. Any further questions or comments on the report?
Your Worship, I also want to thank our CAO, Susan Higdon, Noah, and Paige for Davis's Day. Would you realize that was something that was, and in Cape Breton, it's done by the miners or the union, and here the town has taken that on and has done it. I also want to compliment the Reverend Charles McPherson on the great job he did. And I also want to comment our mayor on the great job that he did and his connection to the mine and that. And it was a great day. We really enjoyed it. I think everybody that was there enjoyed it. It's unfortunate there wasn't more there, but it was a good day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. The rain held off, and the staff did a really good job organized, so thank you for that. It makes our jobs a lot easier when we arrive and everything's set up and good to go, and it was, and we really appreciate that.
Your Worship, just want to add as well, thank you very much for the homecoming planning. It's a lot of work, and we appreciate it. But I can tell you that people are getting excited, so it's going to be fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Luan. So with that, I think we're ready for a motion.
I move to accept, Your Worship.
I second.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Knight, second by Councillor Wand. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, most carried and answered. Thank you. I guess it's 6D is Engineer Blaine Murray. Report concluded. I'll just highlight a few things. The water meter project is approximately 90% done. Looks like the installation will be completed by the end of June. The water meter is requiring 4 to 8 public work operators on any given day. We have a staff of 13, so about half our team is out on that. That's why some other stuff has been impacted by that.
As well as admin.
As well as admin. Thank you. Public Works employees attended safety courses for confined space and trenching and excavation, and the annual ladder inspections were completed. That's for Public Works. I have nothing for water, so if
I second it. Oh, go ahead, Susan, I'm sorry.
moved by Councillor Pence, seconded by Councillor Campbell. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, most carried and answered. Thank you. 6D, Noah Laurie, Active Living Coordinator. Reports include, I just want to highlight a few things. Summer day camp registration will begin June 15th for Stellarton residents only. June 20th and 22nd will be for the general public. All registration will be from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at the Stellarton Town Hall. Summer camp will begin on July 4th, and the home base will be the GR Saunders Elementary School. Summer day camp staff, we have concluded our interviews, and I would like to thank all applicants for their interest. We're happy to have Jasmine McKenzie as our program coordinator, Taylor DeCoste, Lauren Pike, Kylie Alexander, and Olivia Fitt as day camp counselors for the summer. So welcome to that staffing comment to our team, and we look forward to a fun summer with the kids. And as Councillor Lewan mentioned, people are getting excited about homecoming. The dates are for July 26th to 30th. Any further questions or comments in the report?
No, I have a question on the new signs for the baseball fields. Any idea? I know Public Works has been really busy with the meters, so.
Yeah, I can answer that,
Yeah.
Councillor Pence. The signs are here. It's just getting the schedule with Public Works to erect them. That's the issue.
And that's the signs for like the ball fields, the community center, all that stuff. Okay. And
Just curious to know, how many new ones is there, Paige? Do you know, approximate? Yeah. Right.
17, there's all
Good.
the parks, all the ball fields, and the historic neighborhood signs as well.
Great. That's great. Thank you.
I just want to highlight that this was a PAC initiative,
Planning Advisory Committee.
Planning Advisory Committee, and we were very excited about those, and thank you for bringing them up, Gary. It's been long overdue.
But it's like everything else,
Takes time.
it takes time and what the town has for priorities.
It's true.
I don't know if there's a motion on the floor, but I'll put a motion on.
Moved by Councillor Wan.
I'll
seconded by
second the
Councillor
motion.
Pence to accept the Active Community Living Coordinator's report. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, most carried and answered. Thank you. Correspondence 7A is Northern Pulp, retirement of Bruce Chapman.
Yes, a letter was received on May 30th from Dale Patterson, who's the acting general manager of Northern Pulp, Nova Scotia, informing the mayor and council that Bruce Chapman, general manager of Northern Pulp, Nova Scotia, is retiring after 26 years of dedicated service. So that's just for council's information.
Your Worship, could I make a motion that we send him a letter, congratulate him on retirement?
If you have a seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Knight, seconded by Councillor Pence, that we send Mr. Chapman a letter. I've dealt with Bruce on several occasions. He's always been very professional, and I have nothing but the utmost respect for him. So I would fully agree that we should send the letter. And all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
All right.
Contrary minded? Most carried, Nancy, thank you. 6B, concerned citizens.
Yes, received this today, this afternoon, June 12th at 2:30. Dear Stellarton Town Council, subject, requests for cleaning up property following Hurricane Fiona. We hope this letter finds you in good health and high spirits. We are writing to bring your attention to a matter of significant concern regarding town property adjacent to Poplar, Canby, and High Streets, where trees were cut down and mulched following the devastating impacts of Hurricane Fiona. As concerned residents and taxpayers of Stellarton, we kindly request the immediate cleanup and restoration of said property in accordance with the provisions as outlined in bylaw AD 015, dangerous and unsightly premises. The property in question has been left in an unsightly and potentially hazardous condition. The debris from the fallen trees has been mulched but not adequately removed, leaving behind a cluttered and untidy environment that is not only an eyesore but also poses potential safety risks for the community. We would like to draw your attention to the potential fire hazard posed by the accumulation of mulch debris on the property. Dry mulch, especially in large quantities, can ignite easily and spread fire rapidly, endangering nearby structures and residents. As concerned citizens, we believe that it is the responsibility of the Stellarton Town Council to ensure the safety and well-being of its residents. The presence of an unsightly and potentially dangerous premises not only diminishes the aesthetic appeal of our town, but also creates a negative impact on property values and overall community morale. It is essential to address this issue promptly to maintain the high standard of living we all cherish in Stellarton. According to the bylaw, it is the duty of the council to enforce regulations pertaining to the maintenance and upkeep of properties within the town's jurisdiction. The bylaw clearly states that properties deemed dangerous and unsightly shall be within 30 days maintained in a manner consistent with the standards set by council. Considering the aforementioned bylaw, we kindly request that the town of Stellarton take immediate action to rectify the situation. The cleanup of the property should include the proper removal and disposal of all debris, ensuring the restoration of a safe and aesthetically pleasing environment for the benefit of the entire community. We would like to emphasize the importance of conducting the cleanup and restoration of the property before any potential reforestation efforts take place. We trust in the council's commitment to upholding the town's bylaws and fostering a clean and safe environment for all residents. We kindly request that you provide us with an update by letter on the proposed timeline and plan of action for addressing this matter. Thank you for your attention to this urgent issue. We remain hopeful that the Stellarton Town Council will prioritize the cleanup and restoration of the property, demonstrating its unwavering dedication to the well-being and satisfaction of its residents. So that was signed by 17 homeowners out of the 47 that were affected. I just want to reiterate that the brush will be cleaned up. There are certain branches and trees that will be cleaned up. There will be stumps that are going to be removed, and council is going to be meeting with Kirk Schmidt, who did the vegetation plan, which is the first step in deciding what can and should be done, and that will be recommended to council on what to do. With regards to the 30 days, that is something that is subjective to the on the bylaw officer, Manny Withrow. We have in the past gave more time, and so once council has their plan, I will certainly respond to them with that plan.
Your Worship, if I can add some things. First, thank you for the CEO for explaining the plan. I totally agree with the letter. Everybody, I think I talked to everybody on council. Everybody on council agrees with the letter and agrees of the cleanup. The only difference right now is the timelines. Our residents getting frustrated with us not removing it already, and us being hit with the fact that our public works has been swamped, as you just mentioned, Your Worship, with the 7 out of the 13 just dedicated for water meter, which, you know, that by itself cut our workforce by half. Either way, you know, with the plan with the arborist coming up, there will be suggestion that if we need more resources, that we will, I will suggest that we hire people if we can't. But by the end of June, we should have a little bit more people available because of the water meters being done. So it's just a matter of timing, and the discrepancy is there on where we need to be, and but nobody on council is happy with the situation. We were left with a mess that we're trying to resolve, but I understand it's not as fast as the resident wants.
Yeah, I agree fully. Councillor Juan, it is about the timing of it, and we all do agree that it needs to be cleaned up.
Your worship, I'm still getting requests from people that want trees cut down in the areas. And, you know, and we're still getting requests to go in and fill holes where the trees were taken down. I did reach out to them, and I offered that Councillor Juan agreed that if they want, we will sit down with them. If they want to help us put a plan together, we're quite willing to do it. Councillor Pence and myself were up. We looked at the debris that's up there, and we understand. But like Councillor Juan said, we just don't have the people to do it. You know, the irony of the whole thing is we talk about fire hazards. You know, if you look at Halifax, if we hadn't trimmed back those trees and we had had a fire up there, the likelihood of them losing their houses are a lot higher than what they are right now, you know. And I know Councillor Pence told me when he was in the fire department, his biggest fear is a fire started up there, you know, putting it out. But like Councillor Juan said, you know, we're doing our best to work towards it. It's only been a few months since the snow come off the ground, and trying to get water meters in and meet all the demands of all the citizens is very difficult. I mean, I hear their pain, but, you know, we're definitely going to get to it.
We will definitely get to it. And it wasn't just Councillor Pence, the Regional Emergency Measures Organization, they also identified Valley Woods as an area, this is previous to this year actually, so before the wildfires in the other parts of the province, that if there's a wildfire in that area, that those structures are very vulnerable to being demolished or taken by the fire. So that wasn't our intention with the cleanup, but it is one of the side benefits of that happening, I guess. So there's no motions to be made. The council is on the same page here. We understand the citizens are talking.
The plan is coming.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So we'll move on to 7C, Picasha, Pictou County Affordable Supportive Housing Association.
Yes, Mayor, you may want to speak a
Yes.
little bit on this first.
Do I want to declare a conflict, maybe?
You're not asking financial.
Okay, thank you. So the Pictou County Affordable Supportive Housing Association was formed as a nonprofit entity in April 2023. We developed it there's an entity in Pictou County that can receive funding from the province and the feds to build affordable housing here in the county. It's totally, we're just in our infancy right now. I'm the chairperson, that's why I went with the conflict. There's no financial part, so we're okay. We are applying to the province of Nova Scotia Community Growth Fund for funding for a strategic plan, for board recruitment, and for government engagement. So basically get us off the ground and get us going. 25,000 plus HST is the quote that we have from a consultant. So we're just asking the towns and the municipalities for a letter of support saying that can you read the letter? Do you have it in front of you? Thank you.
The letter that yeah. So, Dear Community Housing Fund, Growth Fund, we understand the Pictou County Affordable and Supportive Housing Association was officially formed in April of 2023. This is welcome news for our community. We are in a housing crisis. Picasha was formed to create a nonprofit affordable housing entity in Pictou County that can receive funding from the various levels of government. They are a volunteer-led organization. Picasha is applying to the Community Housing Growth Fund Capacity Building Stream. Their application is asking for monies, $25,000 plus HST, for a consultant to position Picasha for success with a strategic plan, board recruitment strategy, actual board recruitment, staff recruitment, and government engagement. Picasha in its infancy needs nurturing to grow. We support their application to the Community Housing Growth and ask that you fund their request as outlined above.
I make a motion that we send a letter of report or support from the town of Stellarton, Your Worship.
I'll second that.
Moved by Councillor Pence, seconded by Councillor Campbell. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Contrary minded. Most carried and answered. Thank you very much. I'll move on to item 8, Committee of the Whole report.
The following recommendation is for Council's consideration from the Committee of the Whole meeting held on May 23, 2023. On recommendation of the Committee of the Whole, council approve the purchase of an ad for $300 in the Stellarton Area Lions Club 2024 calendar.
So move.
I'll second.
Moved by Councillor Pence, seconded by Councillor Wand. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, motion carried. The Lions Club does a lot of great work in our town. So we'll move on to item 9, pool permit request.
So the pool, or this person that lives at 12 Kensington has asked for a variance from the bylaw for a fence height. Typically, fence heights are 6 feet. He is requesting 8 feet. It is recommended by Roland Burek, our planner, and he did get a letter of authorization from every abutting neighbor. So if I can, I'll just read the motion, and if council wishes to move it and second it. Be it resolved that Stellarton Town Council approves the construction of a fence to a maximum height of 8 feet to enclose the new swimming pool being constructed by permit at 12 Kensington Avenue, as the owner has provided written confirmation that all abutting owners have no objections. All other requirements under sections 21.7 and 21.8 of the Common Land Use Bylaw shall apply.
So move.
I second.
Yes, so this has been something that's been introduced by Deans, the Tourism Association. We now have authority under the, they have made legislation that we can charge, or accommodations can charge a marketing levy, which you will see throughout the province in Halifax and Cape Breton. This will be managed by Deans, and it will work the similar situation as transfer tax. We would take the funds and then disperse them back to Deans for management. And this is going to be the first reading of the bylaw, which we have to have in place. And it looks like it would come into effect in January. And this is for accommodations only.
So it's for all accommodations, any rent a room, so Airbnbs do apply. All the dollars raised here in Pictou County will stay in Pictou County for advertising, and the thought behind the whole thing is to attract more tourists. So these funds will be used to attract more tourists to Pictou County.
Yeah, my understanding, Your Worship, is that the funds will be used for events that will attract more tourists.
Could, yeah, marketing,
Yeah.
promotions, events, special events that
Exactly.
affect the whole county.
Yeah, so that's more money coming in, so that's
Yeah.
great.
Okay, with that being said, do we need a motion for first reading?
Yes, please.
I so move.
I'll second that motion.
Moved by Councillor Wand, seconded by Deputy Mayor Knight. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, most carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 11, vendor bylaw amendment.
Yes, so I've been requested by the admin at the police department for council to consider an amendment to the vendor bylaw. It was last done in 1989, so it does need some updating. Mark Thibault from the Stellarton Police Department has outlined what things he would like to see amended, and I guess I'm asking council for permission to go ahead and amend for the first reading in July.
Need a motion?
Yes, please.
I move.
I'll second that.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Knight, seconded by Councillor Wand. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, most carried unanimously. Thank you. Move on to item 12, which is Deputy Mayor Knight for bylaws.
Thank you, Your Worship. I meant to bring this up a few times, but a few months ago, if you read through our bylaws, this one's old. Some of them are really old. Some of them are really old, and I think we should revisit these bylaws. And if we take so many at a time or whatever, and I don't know who's going to revisit, I guess. But even if you take so many at a time and we look at them and change them, they need to be updated. I mean, some of them go back. I'm trying to remember. I was getting a chuckle out of a few of them. I think some of them were where you should tie your horse or something of that nature. We could eliminate some of them bylaws, you know.
I think one of them was about $1 is a fine for a chicken running across the street. And in that bylaw, it looks like back then only male residents' own chicken because there was no mention of a she in the whole bylaw.
Yeah.
It was all, he will pay, he will do this, he will do that. No mention of another gender. So I agree with Councillor.
Just cleaning the books.
So we want to modernize our bylaws.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll leave with the CAO to look into and report back to us.
You can,
Okay, item. Yes, we want to know those. So next is open forum, number 13. Is anyone like to speak at the open forum? Item 14, next council meeting is Monday, July 10th, 2023, 5:30 PM here at the council chambers. And item 15, I ask for a motion to adjourn, please.
So move.
Thank you, Councilor Pence. Meeting adjourned.